OCA. Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. For those who listen regularly, you know that Robin and I weren't here Thursday and Friday. We went up to Chattanooga to the National Association of Campus Activities Conference. And while we were there, our role was to play music, actually, but we were not the only ones there. Obviously, there was a lot of people there. And what it is for the students to see and observe different talent that they might be interested in inviting to their campuses. And so one of the ways they do this is they have a showcase, actually several showcases, and the showcases can be musical, they can be comedy, they can be like a magician or a hypnotist, that kind of thing, and they can be lecturers.
Yes.
And what is interesting, you can sit in the audience with all these college students, and these so bright, and I was so impressed. I was just so impressed with this large number, thousands of college students from every state in the Southeast. I think Washington, D.C. was as far north as it went. It went all the way down here to Florida. I think out west as far as Mississippi, right? Alabama, Mississippi, and then up to Tennessee. It was just like that whole big clump of the country represented. So all the students from the schools were there. Okay, so now we're sitting there in this audience, which we're probably the oldest people in there, if not close to it. And we're watching them, and we're watching not only the act on the stage, but also the reaction of the students, because we could hear them. Because their whole purpose of being there is to figure out who they want to invite to their campuses.
Yes.
So you get this handsome young guy coming out, and he's telling jokes, and they're laughing, having a good time with him. They have a pretty young blonde, and she's up there singing with her folk guitar, and she's beautiful, and she's singing wonderfully, and you could tell that they were appreciated, and they were politely applauding. Who got the most attention, who got the biggest, was the speakers, the ones who had a message, the ones who had some kind of a message that you could take with you, and that you could say to your school, you know what, this person we saw down in Chattanooga has a message for our student body.
Yes.
You know, because I'm guessing, pretty blondes that sing and play guitar, probably a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this girl was not a dime. She was $1,200.
Yeah.
And she was not famous.
No.
But on the other side, guess how much the lecturers were getting? There was one lady, and she talked about sex, baby.
Yes, she did.
And that was her thing. Was it $3,000?
$3,000.
$3,000.
$3,000
is what the school would have to pay for her to speak for 1 hour.
Yes, exactly.
I said to Robin, we are doing the wrong. We got to get in the right. What are we talking on the radio for? We could be standing there. I don't know what we would talk about. I don't know what we would try to teach those students. I could pretend I know something.
Yeah.
We have worked with a lady who is a certified personal coach. And by the way, we were in this thing in Chattanooga kind of networking, because there wasn't, we were there for 4 days. We played for 2 hours each of those 4 evenings.
Yep.
The rest of the time it's just like hobnobbing and eating.
Yeah.
So I met a lot of people, and I a lot of tweets I got, people following me.
Yeah.
And their thing says, personal coach. Personal coach.
Personal coach.
So they want to be my personal coach. Heather O'Neill has worked with us for so long. Heather knows her stuff. I mean, she knows. You know what she does? She does for us what these activities directors do for their schools.
Yeah.
She brings us the entertainment, the talent that you hear on the radio here. Heather is a publicist, but she's also a motivational speaker. So today she's a guest, and she's going to talk to us about throwing out your head trash. What is that, Robin? Throwing out your head trash?
She'll answer that.
I know.
I don't know.
Heather O'Neill. Hi, Heather. We're on the air. Usually I'm at my desk trying to figure out what I'm doing for tomorrow.
Yeah, good morning. How are you guys?
Good. Gosh, you have you ever been to one of these conventions like the one I was just describing?
I have been to conventions, but now I'm thinking maybe we should try to come up with something and take it on the road for $3,000 an hour.
Yeah, I am not making this up.
No,
When
it's true.
No, that's good stuff, huh?
You talk to Robin and she'll give you all the information about the National Association of Campus Activities, because this might be a good lead for you.
Yeah. Well, listen, everybody likes to hear a good message, right?
So what is head trash? What is your message about head trash?
So my message about head trash is that I think a lot of times we don't really pay attention to what goes on in our head and what our thoughts are saying to us, what our beliefs are saying to us. We just kind of go about our business, and usually it's like our thoughts are kind of driving the bus, and really, we are the thinkers of our thoughts. So when we can start paying attention to what those thoughts are, we can start to tweak them and change them and help ourselves to feel better and to enjoy our lives more, because most of us really beat ourselves up pretty good on a daily basis. And when we can start identifying what those thoughts are. Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's like forgiving yourself? Like forgiving yourself for things?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's to sit and beat yourself up for things that have happened in the past that you can't change is it doesn't do you any good. It's saying, okay,
do you know what
can I change going forward?
Let me tell you what you're reminding me of. You're reminding me of a time in my life when I had a job I hated. And I had a supervisor who just didn't like me for some reason. Mm-hmm. And it was a 22-mile drive to work.
Yes.
And so I had 22 miles to think about this guy. And one day I found myself thinking about this letter that I was going to write to his supervisor. I mean, in my mind, I was composing the whole letter, Heather. And I thought, by the time I got to work, I thought, oh my gosh, I just wasted my whole drive thinking about a letter I probably shouldn't write and probably won't write. Mm-hmm. And I used to be so creative. I used to take my downtime and write songs in my car or come up with storylines for something, And I thought I just wasted. So there's an example of head trash. And I made the conscious decision, forget about this guy. He's got his own worries. I'm just going to go back to my own way of thinking. Mm-hmm. So in a way, that was a head trash moment.
Yeah, that was a total head trash moment, and I would like to applaud you for recognizing it as such and throwing it out, because you're right, what that supervisor does ultimately, as much as we all take things so personally, things really aren't personal. Like, everybody's actions really stem from how they feel about themselves inside. So really most things aren't personally about us, but we take them so personally, we let things that other people do and say make us feel bad about ourselves, and then that's where all of our actions stem from. We feel bad about ourselves, and then it's not really about somebody that we're interacting with. It's that we feel crappy, and it's just kind of a never-ending, trashy story. So I love that you recognized that and you realized how it was a waste of time, because obviously it wasn't making you feel good, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you want to know what I recognized? I recognized something in myself that I see in other people who I usually separate myself from. Mm-hmm. For example, let's say I walk up to a group of people. There's 4 people standing around. And I say, hey, guys, what are you doing? We're doing pretty good. How you doing? Pretty good. We were just talking about Sally. Sally? Oh, yeah, I know Sally. Yeah, guys, don't you think she's stupid? And no, well, wow, why? But all of a sudden they'll drag me into their mudslinging, and then Sally will walk into the room. Hey, Sally, how you doing? I'm thinking, you're kidding me. I mean, you guys hate her. Why are you saying such nice things now?
Yeah.
And so I would separate myself from people who would do that. And so in the same way, I had to separate myself from actually doing that.
Mm-hmm. That's all. It's all judgment. It's judgment of other people. It's judgment, and then ultimately too, when we're judging others, we're judging ourselves too.
So what do you do? Do you take this message to speakers engagements? What do you do?
Well, I'm going to go take it somewhere where I can make $3,000 an hour.
Yeah.
Man,
but for the time being, I teach this stuff. I love, talking to you folks about it, and just because, the first step is for people to recognize it as head trash. Like, everybody's kind of at different places in their own personal journeys and personal development, but, depending on where you are, it's like it's head trash. You've got to recognize it as such before you can begin to change it, and so what I do then is I suggest to people, there's just different questions you can ask yourself about, what's going on in your head so that you can recognize what's garbage, throw it out, change it, and begin to focus on, more positive aspects in your life, about yourself, about others around you, everything.
But sometimes people feel guilty. They have this guilt complex and they don't want to get rid of anything. And then if they have to think about themselves and their own needs, they don't even want to do that.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that, Robin, because it's such a good point. Because we don't think about our own needs either, and we think that that's it's self-centered or it's selfish. And I'm like, you know what? Throw a hyphen in selfish.
Yes,
and it's okay, because if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not in the best place for those around us and those we love, for our families and our children and our friends. If we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not really, how much can you give to somebody else?
I've been watching a lot of the TED Talks things on YouTube lately. And I like those TED Talks. Some of them I think are kind of lame, but some of them are really powerful. Have you ever considered doing them?
Someday I would love to do a TED Talk. Absolutely. Yep.
I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I have no idea how that.
I think I think you got to be around for a while and consistently be getting your message out to people, and when the time is right, I think it happens for folks. And I agree. There's some great TED Talks out there.
Heather O'Neill is our guest. She's a certified personal coach, a Reiki master and teacher. You hold a BA in psychology. Come on, you got the credentials. Heather believes we all have a hand in designing our life experience. I do too. And you coach clients one-on-one using your 5 fingerprints approach to create a life you love. Okay, we'll find out what that means when we come back. We will take a little break and be right back with Heather O'Neill. We've worked with Heather how many years now? 16, 17?
Probably at least a good 15 years, yep.
All right, we'll be right back with Heather. This is WOCA.
Weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, times of clouds and sun with a passing afternoon shower. The high today 80 to 84, and partly cloudy tonight, low 65 to 69. For tomorrow, times of clouds and sun. There can still be a couple of showers along the coast. The high 81 to 85. On Wednesday, partly sunny. There may be a shower in spots, mainly in the afternoon over the interior. The high 82 to 86. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Whether you're building it up or knocking it down, get it done, rent it now. Sunbelt Rentals is here to make your job a little easier. Our knowledgeable staff will help you find the right equipment for any job, big or small. Did you know that Sunbelt Rentals carries heaters, air conditioners, generators, lighting, traffic control, and so much more? So whether you're building it up or knocking it down, we've got the equipment you need. Get it done, rent it now. And right now, for a limited time, you can have it for less. Just by mentioning this ad, if you rent it Friday afternoon, you can keep it the whole weekend and only pay for one day. But this is a limited time offer, so stop into Sunbelt Rentals today, Northwest 27th, just a quarter mile east of I-75. For more information, just give us a call, 352-369-9101. 352-369-9101. Sunbelt Rentals. Get it done, rent it now. 352-369-9101.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
All right, 18 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. If you are trying to do anything in your life and your own thoughts are your worst enemy, you might be able to get some help from the advice of Heather O'Neill. She's on the phone. She's a friend of ours by way of phone. We've never met Heather in person.
Nice.
I love when people call you and say, "Nice to meet you" on the phone. I always say, "Oh yeah, nice to meet you too." I was thinking, did I just meet them?
Yes.
Did I?
Audio.
We've met Heather on the phone. Well, when you speak to somebody a lot on the phone, then you feel like you met them. Right?
Yeah.
Heather is also going to talk to us about a 6-week How to Throw Out Your Head Trash class beginning October 14th, which I believe is done on Skype. or over
it's over the phone. And I love this. I love classes of this nature because you can take them from the comfort of your own home, and you can be anywhere taking a class, and it's wonderful. And it's a nice thing, an hour a week, to kind of take a deeper dive into this stuff and recognizing head trash. And I'll give people tools to recognize it, to throw it out. And I'm really excited. It's a fun class. It's a good class. It's nice to dig in when you have the support too, and it's nice to also kind of go through a journey with other folks too, because it's really enlightening to hear other people's stuff, like your story, Larry, when you were in the car that morning. Everybody can relate to this stuff. It's like no one's any worse of a person than anybody else. We all go through the same stuff. We don't realize, maybe people don't talk about it that much, but everybody goes through the same stuff. We really do. We're all in this together.
Absolutely,
and so it's nice to
Does a fatigue play a role in trying to get rid of your head trash? Do you get more head trash if you're fatigued and then you just don't do anything with that?
You give up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
I think so, and I think it's kind of cyclical, because I think when you're kind of focused on the head trash and your mind's kind of in a negative space, that depletes your energy, and so you have depleted energy, and then you're exhausted, and you're not, maybe, believe it or not, you don't sleep as well, even though you're more tired, and then I think our brains kind of just tend to go to the dark side a little bit when we're very depleted. So
yeah.
Do I went to your website, HeatherO'NeillCoaching.com, and we'll spell that for you in just a bit. But one of the things you have on the very, very top of the page is this line: the best thing you can do is be good at being you.
Wow.
And so I wanted to tell you something. Once I thought about the fact that the earth is round and how people didn't believe that, or whatever. That's what you taught in school anyway. But just follow me on this. We should never have wondered if the world was round, because if we looked out into space, everything is round. Everything, all the planets, all the stars, right? They're all round. So why would we be any different? And I thought the same thing about us as human beings. If you look around at all of God's creation, the raccoons, right, the horses, everything, it all has a way. Every animal, every plant has a way of providing for itself, has a way of getting shelter for itself, has a way of reproducing, which is my favorite part of this experience. I mean,
the act of.
but they all have a way of doing something. So as individual human beings, why would we feel we were left out? Just like, right? We're not left out. We all have a talent of some sort. And that's what I think that's what you're bringing out of people, is that very thing.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, we are all beautiful, amazing, wonderful human beings, and life sometimes can beat us up, and as we go through school and workplace environments and all these things with other people, and we go through situations of feeling shamed or feeling inadequate and all these things, we all kind of start to dampen our light inside, and everybody has that light, and we don't all need to be like each other. That's the beautiful thing about this world. That's what makes it go around. And it's like you asked if I ever went to a conference before, and I remember hearing a motivational speaker talking about just how many great things end up in a cemetery, books and songs and all these beautiful things that die with folks, because we all we kind of hide our light, and it's like everybody has gifts to share in this world, and who you are is perfectly okay, and the more people think that way, I think the better the better all our interactions are.
And Heather, if I could interject this, that somewhere along the way, some of us have been exposed to this sentence: "You're never going to amount to anything."
Yeah.
And you actually believe that, and I think that's why some of those books end up in the cemetery. But if you've been exposed,
that's head trash,
right? And that's head. But if you got that from a parent, from a teacher, from your friends, from whatever, I think a personal coach like with Heather, what you do, is the antidote to that. But you
I teach people to take their power back.
Yeah.
To stand in our own power and know who you are inside, and it's not about what anybody else tells you what you can or cannot do. You know, ultimately, it's up to us, and it's what we believe about ourselves. I talk a lot about that in the class, you know, and a lot of times, like you just said, that just because someone, you know, a teacher, a parent, somebody may have said that to something years ago when we were young, we carry it through all these years. You know, who knows what kind of personal space that person was in when they said it. They were maybe miserable or unhappy. Absolutely. You know, there's no truth to that. You can be who you want to be, you know, and so it is about, you know, really showing people how they can live an empowered life and be happy, you know, and enjoy your life and be excited about your life.
Yeah, I think so. So we can do this on Skype or phone?
But probably just be over the phone, and then also next Wednesday the 7th, a week before the class, I'm just going to do kind of a quick, free informational call. If people are on the fence, they want to hear more about the class, people can contact me via my website if they want to get involved or if they have questions or anything. It's going to be a good time.
All right, let me get to the phone. Somebody's on the phone waiting. Good morning. You're on the air with Heather O'Neill.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Yes, in the 1870s, at the U.S. Naval Academy, one of the students was told by his professor that he would never amount to anything. His name was Albert Michelson. He wound up winning the Nobel Prize for Physics.
Wow.
Oh, gosh.
See, that's beautiful.
There you go. That's the kind of story we love. Yeah. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
How do you help the people, Heather, that are super egotistical and their life is all about me, in quotes?
That's a good question. You know, I think it's about, you know, there's nothing wrong with loving ourselves or taking care of ourselves or having our own needs. You know, some people, though, you know, lead with that to a point of alienating others, or maybe not having empathy for others, or maybe not, you know, having compassion for others. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental sense, but I'm not sure people who have that kind of mindset necessarily seek out this type of expansion. So, you know, I just think that something that's good for everybody to remember is that everybody here has their own story and their own journey and their own hardships, and that when we all extend a little love and compassion to other people, that it really, you know, it makes the world a better place. And so I think, you know, I just would recommend that everybody just take some time to, you know, realize that everybody's human, everybody's having their own experience, and you know, just to recognize that everybody's different, and that's okay. And, you know, everybody doesn't have to do things your way or, you know, go via your opinion. And, you know, I think a lot of times that makes people feel uncomfortable because they're not centered within. And then they're looking without for everybody to behave and do a certain way so that they feel better. So I would kind of shift to within.
Heather, Robin, have you ever seen Heather's photo?
No.
She's a nice-looking lady. Look at this picture here.
Thanks, Larry.
Wow. Wow.
You're so animated, Heather.
I have a lot of energy, Robin. You know that, right?
Oh, wow. I'd go to your speaking class. I don't know if I'd listen, though. No, I would.
No, you are absolutely amazing, because you're giving people hope, because, you know, they listen to the news, they hear the negativeness, and then they go home and they say, why bother with stuff, you know, if I can't move forward. But you really are enabling the people to move forward in their own lives and hopefully make a difference for somebody else.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, and I don't watch the news for that reason. I think there's so many wonderful things that go on that aren't reported. So, you know, there is a lot of hope and possibility and promise out there. There really is.
And I think, just going back to my intro, I think the reason those students were more enamored by the coaches that were speaking on the stages than they were by the talented singers, the talented comedians. They were more impressed by people doing what you do, is because the message is so important to them. They understand that message, and they want that message brought back to their campuses.
But do they understand it? Because something, Eckhart Tolle said this in an interview once, and it was so brilliant. And he said, when you have like kind of those ahas, when you're hearing somebody speak like that and it hits you, it's spirit recognizing spirit. Something within you already knows that. And
right.
That's why it's so exciting. And it's, flips a switch on, and it's like, yeah. And that's why people like that so much, because on some level they know it as their personal truth. And that's what's exciting.
So we've got 40 seconds. We need the website, HeatherO'NeillCoaching.com. And Robin will put that on Facebook to make it easy. But Heather's last name is all we need to know, the spelling of.
Yes, it's O'Neill.
Okay, so everything else is spelled normal. Heather, not that O'Neill is not normal. It's just that there's more than one way.
Variations, it's okay.
HeatherO'NeillCoaching.com.
No, I'm glad you said that. I spell O'Neill all the time.
And is there a fee to be in the class?
There is, yes.
How much?
There is. The investment is $350,
Ooh,
and folks get a half-hour one-on-one coaching session with me and email support throughout.
I like the word investment.
Nice.
Heather, you're great.
It's an investment in yourself.
Absolutely, I agree. Heather, you're so good to us. Thank you so much for what you do and for being on the air with us. Good luck with everything. And do you want to talk to Robin off the air about the NA?
Oh, thank you both so much.
Right.
Sure.
We will take a little break and be right back.
Is if the vessel did sink on Thursday and that crew was able to abandon ship, they would have been abandoning ship into a Category 4 hurricane.
The Coast Guard's Mark Fedor says they'll continue the search. 33 were on board. After record rainfalls in South